the effect, why people were actually dying in World War II from malnourishment and the supply lines being bombed, which is getting us to the place where we're going. uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the problem with the huge gaslighting we're in is like we've been lied to and lied to and lied to at so many levels, and the lying about our medical condition is one of the major ones.
Mm.
And I suppose the meta question that
Well,
we're working with here is like
it's
why have we been so incapable of figuring out what was actually true at so many different levels for so long?
mm-hmm.
And I I mean this I think the what I've been thinking about, the sad thing is it's like this is what it means to be fallen, right? The devil came to Eve, Satan came to Eve and said, God lied to you. Here, take this. So the original trauma processing is the Satan's first lie, that God lied.
Yeah.
What lies are we living in now is the huge problem that we're dealing with as a culture.
Yeah.
Now, the United States,
Well,
the
that,
United States is getting to look at itself a little bit. And it's not from the 1619 Project. We kind of knew about slavery. um, it's not from the things that we tend to recognize as our failings as a country. But I say the great gaslighting is that we were the good guys. And that's in World War II. And that's why it's the untouchable story that we can never be allowed to look at. And so we talk about E. Michael Jones here. We should also read Michael Hoffman. Should read his book on Hitler, who was the worst thing that ever happened to the Germans. But you should also pay attention to what he said about Churchill and Churchill's interest in creating those wars that we have those monuments for. There's banking, caught up in it and so forth. But wouldn't it be horrible to find out that the person that you thought was your father and who was supposed to be taking care of you, was supposed to be your hero, had cheated on your mother, and you have to rewrite your entire life history? I think it's like, not only did I start journaling because of that, but I also became a historian, and I got used to finding out that the ones that I thought were the good guys weren't. My father was a very good guy, among other things, an alcoholic, so I'm not sure that he gaslit me, but he certainly lied to me about whether or not he was drinking. That having to revise over and over and over again, because it keeps flipping, right? The sense of which side were we on? And I feel like I've talked about this, but maybe we'll reiterate it now. The first great sort of historical quarrel I had with my dad was over the dropping of the atomic bombs. He walked out of the restaurant when I was trying to argue with him on this one, because I read this revisionist history back in the 90s about whether or not the United States really needed to have been the only atomic power to actually drop them on cities. And of course, he found it very, very difficult to hear the idea that maybe it wasn't necessary. And I think some of us in our audience may be already willing to look at this and say, maybe we didn't need to do that. Maybe Japan was actually already defeated. Maybe we were the bad guys in dropping those weapons. Okay, so it could be firebombing, but whatever. Those cities were destroyed. One of them, Nagasaki, was Catholic, had great Catholic communities in one of its churches is one of the ones incinerated, I think. Yeah, that makes us have to look at the rest of it.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few calls for Nuremberg 2.0 and dealing with the COVID restrictions.
Yes. That's very common here amongst people that are not happy with what happened in Australia.
We were the good guys, weren't we? I read a lot of Chesterton for a long time, and the Father Brown stories are very
Mhm.
interesting because they're all about actually the rationality of Christ. And the story that keeps the
Well, we call him the rational manna in the
yeah.
Coptic liturgy. Yeah, the rational manna from heaven.
I keep thinking there's one of the Father Brown stories where he's trying to find, there's a monument that's set up to this war hero, and he's going around at the beginning of the story saying, looking at all the monuments, making sure there's nothing said on them, and he's like, well, what was the story behind this? And it was the hero of these monuments created a massacre in order to hide the fact that he was the one who killed I think he has to kill a man who's accusing him of, and this commander, in order to disguise that one murder that he did, sends this entire troop into a death trap. And what Father Brown in the stories is looking for is any evidence that he's not just, I mean, he's still left as a hero, but there's no calumny against the people who were killed. And he's sort of satisfied at that point. But the problem is, this commander created a pile of corpses to hide his own murder.
Yes. Yes.
I always get myself to this point.
Well, I didn't do it to you this week. Well, this is the trick, and this is the trap. Without the Messiah to take on all of our stuff, all of our sins, without the Messiah allowing us to come and fall at his feet.
Oh yeah.
And lose it. What do? We have no option but to perpetuate all of this constantly.
Right.
Because we're it's like it's like being stuck in a closed system subject to entropy that runs on the currency of hiding what you did by manipulating other people to get you what you need in order to cope with what you did.
Yes.
It's junkie behavior.
Well, the United States has been on a great bender since 1945. And thing is,
raging bender.
I recognize that. No, with I felt it myself in my life, right? When we bombed Libya, when Obama and Clinton dropped those bombs on Gaddafi. I mean, even I could feel it when after 9/11 and we end up in the Iraq War. Eventually, I flipped over and said, "Wait a minute, no, wait, this lies." But this feeling, there's a junky feeling to be wanting to be us, the good guys, Team America.
I jumped on it. I was protesting that. Well, I jumped on a truck. And
you got there faster than I did. And I'm.
Well, we've been gaslit into your wars.
You have.
Sorry to cut you off.
You have.
But look, Australia, at its core, has done nothing but serve the American Empire constantly since World War II. Mm-hmm. We were involved in World War I for the Queenie, but we operate as colonial machinery to serve the empire, and our people are the units of service to a war machine, because we are the best soldiers the world has ever seen. Historically, the best. I can say it, I'll brag to everybody, but we're the best. People
That's your Scots-Irish element. We're the best.
Yeah, I know. That now pops out. No, we're the best. Our huntsmen are dragging mice up fridges, all right? Huntsman spiders are dragging mice up fridges. Aussies had to be tough. And the point is, we were pimped.
Yeah.
We were pimped all over the world, and in every single conflict we've come into, I've said it before, we went all the way with LBJ. We followed America into every single conflict that it's ever had. So when I was as young as I was like, nah, no more. I don't want to give any more men to this shit. We're done. My family lost 2 generations of men in those conflicts.
Yep.
Like, we sacrificed 2 generations of men for the American empire. We got nothing for it. Part of the reason why I'm so pissed off about what happened with COVID, excuse my French, but this is how you guys are treating your allies.
But
imagine how you treat your enemies.
Oh,
like,
but this is our. The problem is it's our great. I mean, so the other thing about my father was he's a veteran as a surgeon. Yeah. So he actually served. That's why he's storming out when we're talking about the bombs. But he served in Thailand as a surgeon in one of our Air Force hospitals during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And I've seen like the scramble this past week of everybody saying, "Oh, I don't go with him. I don't go with him. I don't go with this." They're all trying to pretend that they have no sin, right? And it's not the specific sin of saying Christ. It's this quote sin that I think Ye and Nick are actually professing, which is faith in God. But the scramble among the political and the cultural and the social media and the online chats and the this and the that is all desperate to prove that they're not the bad ones. We are the baddies, Hans. We dropped those bombs. We took that power. We used it to drug ourselves into comfort and consumption and teddy bears with bondage gear. Because you want that teddy bear with bondage gear because it's got a fancy label on it and it's a designer. Going back to our previous episode where we were talking about what colors we wear because of the fashion industry, but the sin that is like it's a sort of interesting. It's like, is it Satan or Adam and Eve are at fault? I mean, we accepted it.
Well, we accepted it. We accepted the apple, and then eventually crucified the gardener that planted Eden for us.
Yep.
That's what we did. He planted paradise with his own hands for us, and then we betrayed him, and then we crucified him later on. So, like, without that as a foundational mythology, what do you do with all of the trauma? What do you do to escape a trauma economy? Like, going back to the 4chan thing that I posted on my channel. Right. If your foundational mythology is just hunting baddies and being the goodies and only ever avoiding becoming a baddie and never acknowledging the hold in a second. I got some things to work out here. You're stuck. You're frozen in time. You can't grow. You're infantilized. You're retarded. Like civilizationally retarded. And you'll never break the oil. You'll never have that moment where you're just working it out. And then everyone, they hate on Jews, which I don't, because I know what it means. I know what it means to not have that invitation to the dinner to meet the right rabbi, and then have people, or I'm talking to other people that I love, trying to explain to them, this is Rabboni, like, pay attention, because how else are they going to do it? But our culture doesn't want it.